Jaylon Johnson is being severely underrated right now. Pro Bowler to statistically down year due to injury. The question is, can Jaylon Johnson regain Pro Bowl form? Let's break it down. Let's hear about Chat Sports, what he got to
Victory
say about
minute of
Jaylon
day
Johnson.
one is Jaylon Johnson, the veteran cornerback who missed most of last season with a core muscle injury, had 2 interceptions off Caleb Williams in the first team offense. One of those sounded like a miscommunication between Williams and Khalif Raymond, but still, if Jaylon Johnson is healthy, locked in, and playing well, that changes a lot for this football team. You did not have a cornerback of his caliber really at all last year. Nahshon Wright made a lot of plays, but he did not bring the down-to-down, the play-to-play consistency that a locked-in, healthy Jaylon Johnson does. So if he's out there and playing well, if he can have a healthy training camp and bounce back, that would do wonders for this football team and for this secondary. So shout out Jaylon Johnson. Hopefully this continues. Bear down.
So, if you did not know, Komet did throw. Hey, look, I think I got that highlight if you want to look at it, and that was courtesy of Chat Sports. If you don't see right there, he does a lot of good stuff over here on YouTube as well. So give credit to the person who provided that short or that breakdown for Jaylon. If you do not know, one of the most bandied about names over these past 3 days has been the cornerback Jaylon Johnson. Jerry, I got to give credence to the fact that he got a following, and I wish I'd have had the idea when they started creating content, but the information he had right at that moment, like I don't watch a lot, but I do have to look at other people's. I do got to look at other people's content to understand their viewpoints. Sometimes they are privy to information and I'm not because they are more tapped in or what's the word? They more plugged into the conduits to get this information before I am as a long time or longer time content creator. So I don't want to discredit. Everybody has a freedom of choice. And it ain't my preference. But like you said, hey, salute. Hey, right. I just like that. I just like that little information right there because it gave us what I've been saying basically since the injury report last season. Yes, Jaylon had a bad year. Yes, the narrative about him wanting more money came about while he was still healthy and being considered one of the top 2 cornerbacks in the league. But on the whole, health was the thing. He started out with a core injury that kept him down. When he came back, he ended up having to get surgery that kept him out before the season started. So last year when he came back, which was unexpected because he was indefinite and many people didn't expect him to even play last year. When you think about the fact that he did play, his play did somewhat improve as the course of the year, but he spoke to Courtney Cronin when he talked about the time frame in which he needed to actually get that healed. So when you think about the fast forward to now, we haven't seen the version that we are perhaps seeing in training camp right now. We haven't seen that version in about a year or two, maybe a year and a half per se. But last week, he showed up. 2 interceptions, like they say in day one. I know it's up to franchise quarterback, and that's what many people want to harp on. I know it's in team drills or what have you. And so I do want people to understand that you got people right there saying that he was stuck to Luther Burden on one of these right here. And he covered well throughout the camp. So whether or not it was designed or anything else like that, his movements, his fluidity, his ability to be able to stay with the players right now, especially a young guy like a Luther or Rome or whoever he's floating with. And I want you to pay attention. It's your number 1 cornerback was reported sticking to Luther Burden. So read into that what you want. But that tells me that Luther and Rome got a little battle going on for that number 1 spot. Y'all check that out. Nonetheless, um, Adam Johns watched the team often. Don't know how people feel about him, but he obviously been covering for a myriad of years, and he said that Jaylon was the best player on the field day one. So I've heard the name be talked about several times when it came to day one, and him showing you the burst, showing you the things that made him, if you will. And I'm happy to know that he has gotten himself back to being that type of guy on the field when it comes to just looking healthy, looking spry, not looking as if he has not been given the opportunity to redeem himself. Early on when training camp, the voluntaries came out, Ben didn't have much to talk about when it came to Jaylon or what have you, right? He was he was kind of like, I still don't know the player. Whatever he's got going on, blah, 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 bob and bob type ish. So I want to know if this right here, and we got some Clay Harbor stuff for us to go to as well, Jerry, because like you said, there's some good sources out here for some good information, and we try to find all of them and not neglect any of them unless you're just totally preposterous about things. Nonetheless, he didn't have the most glowing reports, and everybody, especially ESPN 1000 or Waddle and Sylvie type, especially Sylvie, want to make a lot of his distance from players. When Al Harris said, somebody's not in the building, and we'll talk about him when he gets here. And like, what is he saying about Jaylon Johnson? Ben saying we don't know the player. This right here is something that I think might change your mind a bit, but let's go ahead and find out. Because I think this is the clip we got about what Ben has to say about Jaylon.
I don't know that I ever saw himself, so it's hard for me to gauge that, particularly this time of year. But I think he had a good day yesterday out there. He's been able to stack a few of those throughout the OTAs, and I think his mind's probably getting more confident in terms of the movements he's making. And so yeah, he's a vital part of what we want to do. He's been a Pro Bowl caliber player in the past, and hopefully we can get that out of him again this year. I don't know that I ever.
Now, in that 30-second clip right there, if we can really understand that we have seen him be distant, avoidant, and totally disinterested in talking about players who have not been available to him, mainly the two cornerbacks that make the most money on the team. This is one of the first times that I've seen Ben, the coach himself, speak to his level of knowing a player. And while, like you said, I didn't get to know much last year, but in this instance right here, right, in this time, it is understood that he don't know the old Jaylon, but the new Jaylon for him is in the building. And that says to me that last year, because he was injured, when he came back, what you saw on the field was not what you were totally pleased with on the whole. It didn't match up with what you heard. But this year, you are starting to get from being the player that he was told he was getting. One of them picks came in a 2-minute drill to end the drive. And to think about it, the 2-minute drill is meant for the offense to do well. It's not meant for the defense to stop nobody. Nobody can tell me that, especially with our coach. So that's not a nothing right there. That's the most game speed type of plays that they run in a non-padded practice is a 2-minute drill. And in 2 minutes, he picked them off. So that right there indicated exactly what I think Ben was trying to say right there. And him stacking good days, it's not a one-time thing. It's a trend. And if he can come into training camp like this, the secondary, I think, takes the step of being one of those more underrated units in the NFC. Last year, I know the secondary as a whole got kudos for the interceptions, but I'm speaking about the gameplay the coverage, the tackling ability, so on and so forth, because he was looked at as slow, disinterested at times in the old regime, taking plays off. And I want to see that the mentality that was there beforehand is back when you were trying to get your money. Now that you can win, I want to see if you know that the expectation is to win and play like that again. Because in DA scheme, a cornerback like him can be a centerpiece. If he can take away a side of the field, if he can command the playing style and ability that he has had in the past, and it'll force teams to attack elsewhere. Because if you force to attack him, it'll show you what training camp is showing you. Healthy, he locked in. So I want to know in the chat, do you think a healthy Jaylon Johnson returns to the Bears defense this year? I think Jaylon Johnson will return to Pro Bowl form this season. But Postal Gang, let me know what you think. Will Jaylon Johnson return to all pro form that we know and love? Let me know in the comments below. Bear down. We out.